My goal in this presentation is simply to show various examples of technologies, especially videos, that you can use in your classroom to enhance active learning. I'm Joe Ross. I'm an assistant professor of biology at Fresno State, and I've also been involved in faculty professional development in educational technology for the last few years. You can find me online. You can email me if you'd like to contact me at my work email address. I'm on Twitter @RossBiology. I write a pretty widely read blog, tabletpedagogy.blogspot.com, and you can find links to all of my lecture videos and other sorts of course videos at my YouTube channel. If you'd like more information, including digital copies of worksheets and this presentation, you can go to my professional website at rossbiology.com. The perspective I'm taking for this presentation is that the way that I teach my classes, this is an upper division biology majors class in genetics, is a technology-infused flipped class. So that you can see, for example, that many of these students are using, during an exam, various sorts of mobile devices, laptops, tablets, sometimes even smartphones, to work on this exam. So I'm a strong proponent of the appropriate use of technology in the classroom, where it's called for. And the other thing that you need to know about this is that I teach flipped classes, which is the approach where students access material for the first time on their own, and then they come to class where we practice using the material and applying it. So these are the sorts of classes that I'm augmenting with video technology. So, it wasn't the previous slide, it was this video.
No, I meant
the video itself.
The video itself.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about captioning. What's going to happen now is I'm going to pause the recording.
Do you, or have you used any campus resources for captioning? And if so, how accurate were those?
The only resource I've used other than myself was AutoSync. Caption Sync from
Automatic Sync?
Automatic Sync from, that's the name of the software, but the company is a different name, something like that. And their quality was excellent. That's because with that tool, there's an actual person doing the transcription.
So you know that that's available.
It's just expensive. Yeah. Do we have? Is it free now?
I mean, if it's free, that's not a good use of faculty's time.
Well, that's what I was. That's what I was alluding to when I said we should not spend time
So you
typing
caption
captions.
every single lecture then?
I do.
You do?
Yeah. I post everything I do in class online.
And caption it? And you go back and caption it?
No.
Okay.
Not the lecture capture, and that's a whole different conversation, which I'm happy to get into. Okay, so a couple other examples of videos. Now I'm recording. And what this app is doing, this is a free app. It's recording my voice, and it's also recording whatever I do on the screen. So if I want to highlight part of the screen with using the laser pointer tool, it records that animation. So if I pause this, so this is a useful way to produce videos that then you can upload to YouTube or your favorite place to put videos that students can access, and then they have the lecture or whatever it was you were doing in class, as long as it's based on projected slides, images, pictures, whatever. And my students really love having these resources available. I just do this by rote. Every class, I hit record. Whatever happens, happens. It's an active learning class, so it's not always stuff that's going on up here. It's not always me talking and writing. Sometimes it's students using this or their own device to connect to the projector to talk or to write or to show students their work. Sir?
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Please do.
The previous slide?
Yes.
Those captions, did you make those captions or was that auto caption?
So, perfect question. So the previous slide, and I'm saying this because I want this recorded in this movie, which I'm going to upload for you if you want to watch it again at the end. When I go back a slide, things might get a little bit out of order. Class trailers. So the class trailer videos is what I use. We've talked a lot about motivating students at this conference, how to get them engaged in the material, how to get them interested in the topic. So what I started doing was producing short little videos. I call them, I don't know. They're basically...
Welcome to Course Augmentation with Technology.
This.
Engaging students through interaction, inquiry, and
Okay.
importance.
Where
Today,
did you
I'm
go?
going to address the question, how can I leverage the student love of technology to give them an engaging experience so that when they're staring at their screens, they're working on an activity of your choosing? I'm focusing today's remarks predominantly on the use of videos in various classroom
So
situations.
this goes on and on.
And I'll give brief remarks about other apps and tools to augment courses.
So what
with
I'm doing is I'm
technology
giving students
to enhance active learning
this is
and
what you should
engagement.
learn about in
We'll
class.
use some of these tools as well.
This is one question that we're going to get answered
I'm
by the end of class.
specifically ignoring providing
So
a
that
background
when they
of
come to
why
class,
active
they've got a
learning is
mental
important.
idea about what they should be paying attention to
During
be able
this
to answer
workshop,
that
you
question
might
by
want
the
to
end of the
keep
class.
these thoughts in mind. How can these approaches be used in any discipline? What are the costs and benefits? And what resources will I need to implement?
So these are my
course
questions to you for this
augmentation with
workshop.
technology? Ready? Here we go.
So I've created now one of those, just for one of my courses that I teach. I've created one of these for every in-class meeting. So before class, students will watch this 30-second class trailer. It's like a movie trailer, right? It's the teaser. It's the, this is what you're going to see in class. 30 seconds, a minute, and then they have an idea about what interesting, hopefully, question that we're going to discuss in class. Thank you. So that's another type of video, and that was created using Apple's Clips app.
Welcome
So
to
all of the
Course
graphics
Augmentation with Technology.
and
Engage
animations and so
through
forth
interaction,
were produced using this app. It's available only on Apple devices. It's an Apple app.
address the question.
But it does the captioning automatically. So as I'm talking,
Technology to give them an engaging
it
experience so that when they're
uses the
staring
Siri
at their
voice
screens,
engine
they're
to capture my voice and turn it into
your
text
choosing.
and then display it on the screen,
Focusing today's remarks predominantly
which is a
on
fantastic
videos
tool,
in
but it's
various
Apple
classroom
specific. So
situations. And
that can be a problem.
about other apps and
So this is another software tool now, not a Whiteboard video, not using Explain Everything to record a lecture. This is the Apple Clips app. It's useful for making short videos and to make them snazzy and a little bit jazzed up with emojis and so forth. And it's basically for making social media videos. The last thing I want to talk about and leave you with an idea about is another use of Explain Everything to create videos that are really useful to students. And that is exam keys. So Explain Everything can import PowerPoint slides. It can import PDFs. And this is a PDF of an exam I gave my students. So I have to write an answer key anyway. I don't have to. I like to share my answer keys with my students. But instead of giving them a static PDF, here are the answers, because my course involves a lot of solving problems, what are the logical progression of steps that you need to do to solve the problem, I find, and the students agree, that it's more useful for them to actually see me work out the problem, not just say, here's the whole answer. They can see the steps that I use to solve the answer, plus they get the audio of me talking through what I'm doing and why I'm choosing to do what I do while I'm recording this video. So all of these videos get uploaded to YouTube, And a really nice feature about YouTube, and this will be the last thing I'll say, I'll take a few other questions if you want, is if you didn't know, in the notes section of YouTube, you can just paste in time series. So I just have a text file that says 0 hours, 0 minutes, or 0 minutes, 0 seconds, question 1. 48 seconds, question 2. 2 minutes and 42 seconds, question 3. So the students don't have to watch the whole video. They can jump to specific spots in the video and only watch the parts that are relevant to them. And that's really powerful, not just for the students, but also for us. Because then we get YouTube analytics. YouTube has data then on who has watched, not who has watched, how many students have watched what parts of the video, how many times. So you can see if you're being effective and which parts maybe students are more confused about, because you're noticing that there are a lot of students watching certain parts of a movie and not others. And here's an example of that sort of analytics tool from YouTube. So this is an exam key that I uploaded, and I had marked at what point in the timeline of the video, on the x-axis, that I started asking or addressing the answer to each question. And so the y-axis is % of viewers still watching. And what this indicates is that at time 0, when the video starts, 100% of people who have accessed the video are watching. And then you'll notice that drops off rather quickly. And what's happening is people are navigating directly using links that I provide in YouTube to this video. They're navigating directly to specific questions, and that's why you see so many peaks here, is that those represent percentiles of people that started watching the video that jumped to look at the different question answers. And so I can just look at this and see by scanning across which questions got the most views. It looks like maybe question 3, question 7, and question 22. And so that gives me some feedback that maybe those were the least clear questions, the ones that students missed the most, and so they're looking at the video key to try to understand where they went wrong. And then I can use that as information to help me decide what to continue teaching about or reviewing in future classes. And just for example, here's another sort of analytical tool that YouTube provides, the lifetime views tool. And this just, again, has minutes on the y-axis and time on the x-axis, so that I can go in and watch to see how many minutes of my videos, all of my videos, are being watched. And you won't be surprised to find that exams 1, 2, and 3 from that semester, for example, fall of 2014, right before I gave those exams, I had peaks in viewership. But this can also be really informative to the instructor about not who's watching, but how many people are watching or how many minutes of your video are being watched. At the very least, this should give you a positive sense of satisfaction that people are at least watching the videos that you're creating. One of the ways that I try to drive students understanding the importance or the relevance of information to engage them in class is to perform discipline-authentic analyses. And in this case, I want students to perform statistical tests. And what I have done here is a screen capture video showing students how to use either Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets, in this case, to perform statistical tests. And this involved me using my computer plugged into a device to capture what was happening on the screen of my laptop or the screen of my mobile device, my tablet, for example. And so I share that with my students as a short video on YouTube that you can use as well. And I'll also mention that this was another example of a video using Apple's Clips app, which performs that all-important automatic captioning as you speak, as you voice over a video that you've created. So I'm a big proponent of that. to promote student interaction with the material and with each other, I came up with a great idea of using videos to motivate jigsaw activities. And if you don't remember what a jigsaw activity is, this is when different members of a group access and become experts in different components of a project and then come together and share their expertise, teach each other in order to solve a problem or complete a project. So I used, again, Apple's Clips app to create, in this case, 3 different videos that the 3 different members of a group each would watch individually and then share together. And I was able to run this activity while I was off campus at a conference. So you can see an example video of one of these genetics jigsaws at this URL. And I've already mentioned that I perform exam key capture, and again, that's using this software that I'm using right now to make this presentation, which is called Explain Everything. And in this case, I load the PDF of my exam, which you can see the text of here, into Explain Everything. And then as I'm doing right now, I speak and I annotate on top of that PDF key to solve the problem, but I explain my reasoning and my approach while I'm recording my writing as well. So the students get not only the static answer, but they can also see me work through the process of solving each of the problems on the exam. And then I post those as everything on YouTube for students to use afterwards. And one of the benefits of this is that it drives engagement with the material through inquiry, that I'm giving students resources that will help them form better questions or better understand the material so that when they come to my office hour or to class, when we talk about the results of the exam, they can ask very directed questions that get at the heart of what their misunderstanding or their gap in knowledge is. So not only do I record lectures using Explain Everything and exam keys and homework keys and so forth, I also do this during office hours. In my office, I have a big flat screen TV and I have a tablet hooked up to it so that I can use Explain Everything basically as a digital whiteboard like this. So you can imagine that this is one of my office hours, and a student comes in and asks me a question about how to solve a particular pedigree problem. Well, I can use this as a digital whiteboard to create a problem, hand the tablet to the student, ask them to solve the problem, say what inheritance pattern is this, for example. And then again, this is all being recorded, I upload it to YouTube, and now students have additional information and resources they can use to study, because even if they weren't able to attend my office hours, they can still access the material. And perhaps more importantly, you might have experienced this as well. In office hours, sometimes I come up with the best, clearly explained answer to a common student question, and then 5 minutes later, another student will walk into office hours and ask the same question, and I always feel like saying, oh, I wish you had been here 5 minutes before, because I gave the best answer. Now I've recorded that best answer, and I can refer the student to it. And I can use these videos in future to further flip my class. So in the event that I come up with one of these great examples and a great explanation in a brief, concise video, I can take that little chunk of video and assign it to students in future semesters to watch before class or provide it as a resource. I also use Whiteboard or Learning Glass, 2 words for the same technology, to create videos that students watch in advance of class. So this is the real flipped approach, watching video lectures, and they don't have to be video lectures that students watch to create a flipped class, but it's a common approach for flipped classes these days. And this is simply a situation where a video camera is filming me. I'm standing behind a piece of glass that is able to be written on by a pen, for example, and can also have different pre-generated video or still imagery projected onto the learning glass so that I can interact with it. This is basically like being a meteorologist, essentially, presenting while you can't see what you're looking at. And I really encourage you to check out an example Whiteboard or Learning Glass video that I create for students to use. This is the only sort of video I create where the students can actually see me looking at them. So this is kind of a very traditional lecture, despite the fact that it's digital and it's assigned for them to watch before class. One note about this, though, is this is the only type of video that I'm proposing that you might consider using that actually costs money, because there's a physical setup involving a video camera and the glass board and special markers that write in fluorescent colors that are visible to the camera and so forth. So this is something that's more usually a campus investment that faculty can use on campus, not something that an individual faculty member can set up on their own. So to summarize, I've just talked about the Whiteboard technology and the fact that it's got a cost. I want to note that all of the video types I've shown you I deploy on YouTube, and students, all they need to watch any of these sorts of videos is internet access, a web browser. We talked about using Explain Everything to create video exam keys, homework keys, record office hours, record lectures. We've talked about using trailers, videos that students watch in advance, to pique their curiosity about what you'll be doing in class. I use clips, but you can use any other sort of video capture app or software, including the camera app on your cell phone if you want. Jigsaws, the ability to have different students become experts in different aspects of a project and then share their information with each other. And also screencasting. That was me, the example I showed here was teaching students how to enter specific types of formulas into Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets to perform particular types of calculations. Finally, do note that I mentioned previously, there are free web-based tools that you can use to create interactive videos, to insert questions, quizzes, or free response prompts or things like that into any sort of video. And I have resources for those on my blog, tabletpedagogy.blogspot.com, and that URL is coming up again in just a minute. Now finally, I want to go through a little bit of information that shows that these sorts of approaches can be successful in helping students. So for example, I've polled my students at the end of class to ask them, for example, how much did various types of approaches, tools, help them succeed in their classes? In-class exercises, you'll see students, more than half say are essential or it contributed a lot. You'll notice those percentages of content being or approaches being a lot or essential to their success are also true for in-class question and answer, having open note and open internet tests, and using the course manual, which is a digital resource I created that incorporated a lot of these videos, and watching recorded lectures. Almost 75% of the students said those were essential or contributed a lot to their success in my course. I also wanted to know about engagement, whether or not videos and technology in general helped students engage more with each other in materials. So they felt like they interacted with other students during class more or much more than a typical class. They interacted outside of class with other students. Most of them said an average amount, although there was a certain portion of the percentage that was more or much more than an average class. And I was surprised to find that this approach didn't actually drive a huge percent of students to say that they asked more or many more questions during class. So that's something I'm going to be working on for the future. Now, in terms of understanding the importance or the relevance of information, I wanted to know how that use of videos affected students. So achieving a better understanding of relevance of genetics, the topic of the course, was some and a lot. So I did drive a little bit of students understanding the importance or the relevance of information, but check out authentic experiences in genetics. Majority of the students said they felt like using a tablet computer helped them some or a lot. Improving information literacy skills, accessing information online and judging its relevance, a lot of some and a lot. Quantitative reasoning, that was those videos helping them learn how to use Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets to analyze data. Huge effect there on students, and using those video jigsaws and other in-class approaches, working collaboratively in groups, over 75% of the students said that helped them grow some or a lot. In free response questions, I asked students in general to explain in writing how they felt the use of videos helped them. And some of the major themes that we see are improved learning and study skills, that they were a resource for them to watch and to help them learn, and they really highlighted the fact that these were on-demand videos, that they could use them anytime, and that was one of the real benefits of this approach. Lastly, I'll close with a few quotes from students that get at the understanding the importance of the information and also driving inquiry. So these really highlight the power of videos. And these are their spelling errors, not mine, because before class I understand the material on my own and then I can ask questions about what I don't get. And then there's this mindset issue here. Then I realize how much I've actually learned. They like to know what they're going to be learning in class before class. It helps prepare them, set expectations. And this is one of my favorite quotes. Watching material before class can bring us all on a topic of discussion worth talking about. Here again is my contact information, including links to my blog, where I have blog posts about how to use those free web-based tools to create interactive videos, as well as a suite of other information about using and editing videos, and my YouTube channel where you can find all of the videos that I post to YouTube. Thanks for participating in this workshop. I appreciate it.